Welcome back to Wednesdays with Fernando and Anthony. Anthony couldn't be here today. He has some things going on with his schedule, but I didn't want to miss out another week of the show. Last week I was busy traveling. I couldn't be on the show. Um, so I want to talk about a couple things. Let's start with on my personal side with the real estate business. I working on an assignment for a foreclosure on a restaurant in Arlington, Virginia. It's a property that we're working on to get all the legal stuff done ahead of time so we can have a proper foreclosure here in the next couple months. It's a very difficult deal, but I think we'll get it done, or we'll get something started with it to hopefully get the foreclosure done this summer. But it is a long process. In Virginia, though, the one thing that is nice, non-judicial foreclosure, which means you don't have to go through the whole process of evicting anyone. You could just schedule the foreclosure. Fortunately for us, the property is vacant and there's nobody there, so they basically have left the country and left the restaurant unoccupied. Second thing I'm working on, my first note sale. I'm finally scheduled to close that one next week. Been really difficult to get this deal done. Taken a few months, more legal, more paperwork. I'm dabbling into things that I typically don't do with the note sale, but I think it's something that I have to get used to. I think with the current commercial market, what's going on with lending and commercial lending, I think that's going to open myself up to a few different types of deals that I need to get familiar with. And notes are an easy way for a bank to get rid of a bad debt instead of having to go through the foreclosure process and possibly buying the property back at foreclosure to cover their asset, to cover their lien position. With a note sale, they'd never take possession of the property or ownership of the property. Thus, they never take any of the liabilities. There could be some environmental issues, anything to do with the property. They never have to take in their hands, which is a cleaner way of getting out of a sale of a property, of a bad debt for a lender. So we're doing that one. Um, and then last week I called in to do a broker's price opinion, which I don't do a lot of, but when I do them, I hope it leads to an assignment to sell the real estate. So I start there with a broker price opinion, and then I move on to hopefully getting the property to sell it once they realize that, hey, these guys aren't paying, and we're going to foreclose on the real estate. Hopefully, they hire me to do the foreclosure sale for them at that point. So it's a good way in. Not Doesn't make a lot of money, but I do it as a service to my clients, so they understand what the value is. It's not a full blown appraisal. We can have a full blown appraisal done with Hilco. They have a whole valuations team that can do it. Um, but in this case, they just wanted me to go see the property, drive around the outside, go on in, take a few pictures of the lobby. It was a hotel by BWI Airport, and then report back to them on some comps in the area. And that was it. It was very, very low grade report. Um, but it gives them an idea what they have in terms of valuation to secure their loan. So that went really well as well. All right. So getting now to the personal side where I've been, what I've been doing. So last week I spent a week visiting and taking care of my mother. She's 87 years old. Um, she has she's older. She doesn't have any. Her mental capacity is 100%. The one thing she does have is her physical capacity is not 100%. And my brother, who typically takes care of her, and I have five brothers who live down in South Florida who actually care for her. I like to go down there every couple months and relieve them of their duty and help them out as much as I can. Because I live up in Maryland and they live down in South Florida. Um, but my brother, who takes care of her pretty much all the time, he went to go visit his wife's family in Puerto Rico, and they're sick. So, um, one thing you never think about as you're entering your 50s is your parents getting older and needing your help. It's a daunting task. But with him leaving, we shared the responsibilities of taking care of my mom for the the 15, 17 days he was gone, and I was up for the last 7 days of the journey. So I want to talk about a couple things. I mean, I know we all have aging parents, and it's just been I just I don't I just it's hard. First, let's talk about her typical routine. The routine. Older people have routines. They have things they like to do every single morning, every midday, every evening. It is uncanny. I think it's just they prefer a routine, so things aren't as unstable because they're older. So my mom's typical routine: she gets up between 8 and 9 every morning. Um, she checks her blood sugar. See how that was last night through the night. Her 24-hour fasting sugar, and then she adds insulin. She's diabetic. She adds insulin if she needs it. Um, Very interesting how that goes. It could set her mood off for the rest of the day. It could be a good sugar. She could be in a good mood. So it's interesting how that works out. So typically, she does that. Then she likes to have some fruit. There's a whole routine of the food too. How she eats, what she eats. She likes to have a little bit of fruit. Um, After she has her fruit, and she likes to have some pineapple juice. You heat up the water and you drip it over fresh pineapple, and she drinks that juice. She says it's great for her, keeps her running steady. I'm like, whatever you need, ma. I'll make whatever you want to do. So after that, then she likes to have her coffee, a bread, some sort of toast or Cuban bread, whatever bread we have around the house, and then a protein. So it's a pretty healthy breakfast, I'd say. I mean, she eats pretty good in the morning, which is a good, important meal. And obviously, I went down there. I put on like 10 pounds going down there because I'm trying to keep up with her, and I'm eating what she's eating, and it's a bit of a contest, but it was fun. Um, so after that, she likes to take a nap. Then she eats and she likes to lay down for a little bit of a nap. I'm like, Mom, you just woke up a few hours ago. She's like, No, I was up all night worrying about you, worrying about everybody. Mothers never stop worrying about their children. That's just what they do. Dads too, as well. So she takes a nap, a couple hours. During that time, I worked a little bit when I was down there, which was good. I got to work in the afternoon as well. So I got my work done, what I needed to do. But we're inside, so she gets up from her nap. She gets to eat a little something. Preferably a at that point, it's kind of I can make her whatever she wants, whatever I want to make, as long as she likes it. So a sandwich, chips, a sandwich with chips, some fruit. She likes to have that at that point. And then after lunch, she likes to go out. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, nothing crazy. Just take me out wherever you want to go. We happen to be down in South Florida, so I could take her to the beach. We could drive around the beach. We really didn't get out because she's so. It's hard for her to walk around and be mobile when there's a crowd, when there's people. It gets a little more difficult for her, so she's a little uncomfortable in that situation. So we just kind of drove in the car. Um, like tells me how to drive the whole time, which was nice. I'm glad I still have a second driver in the car with me, helping me drive because I needed the help, obviously, down there. I'm just kidding, obviously. So we go down there. That was fun. We come back home, and now it's time for dinner. And dinner typically was a good sized meal. I mean, we had some food at dinner, and I cooked all three meals. For 6 straight days. I got one dinner off. We went to Popeyes one dinner. She said, I feel like Popeyes tonight." I said, "That's great. Let's go, Mom." So we went and had Popeyes one night. But for 6 straight days, you're cooking, taking care of someone, making sure they get to the bathroom, picking them up when they're sitting down because she has a hard time getting up, putting their socks on for them, helping them with getting dressed, helping them get into the shower. It's not only physically demanding, but it's also mentally demanding, obviously. But the physical part is no joke. I mean, I was pretty tired at the end of every night. I mean, I was going to bed like at 9:30, 10 o'clock. She was not, but I would tuck her in, get her to bed, get her all situated. Then I'd go to bed. And and every night I just hoped that nothing happened to her that night and she woke up fine. Um, so there's a lot of help out there. We haven't exercised all the help that you can get. We haven't called on all the service that are available, because we do have six of us, six boys, no sisters, unfortunately. Six boys that we do the best we can, but we're all boys. We're all ex athletes. We're all very high driven, high testosterone boys. So it's difficult. We do the best we can. Um, but there are some services out there you can call, and they'll come and send someone to your house. You can pay for them if your parents have Medicaid or Medicare. You can call, and they can get someone to come to your house. Um, the problem is elderly people do not like strangers in their houses. They get a little upset with that. They don't like the idea of a stranger being in their house. It's a problem for them. So I understand that. They think they're stealing. They're all stealing. None of them are stealing, but they all think they're all stealing. So it's kind of funny like that. But you if you need the help, there is sources out there to get some help. I wish there was. I wish our family had done that earlier to bail out my brother a little bit, give him some help. But they seem to be in a really good routine together. So I guess it hasn't really come to that point yet. I mean, this is a real estate show, so let's talk about the real estate options of an elderly parent. First thing, like we have done, is your parents or your parents stay in their home, and you come to them. That's where they're most comfortable, in their own home. There's no doubt in my mind. They know the house, they know the routine, they know where every door and every room leads to. They just I think there's a comfort level for them that keeps them in a really good spot mentally as well, that they're in their own house. Um, some people don't have that option, that they have to sell their house to pay for their care when they get elderly. So there is 55 and over communities that offer no assistance, but it's just 55 and over. So you're around your peers, people your age. My wife's mother lives in a community like that. She's got great neighbors. They have two-bedroom apartments, in a nice building in Pennsylvania, and that's how they do it. It's 55 and over with no assistance. I mean, they have community events for the seniors, but they don't come and bring you food. They don't drive you places. You're kind of on your own within your own peer group, which is very, very independent living. I mean, you're on your own. The other thing is independent living with some assistance, right? So you have food maybe is provided every day. Maybe they have a nurse on staff there that comes and checks on you during the day. If you have a problem, a physical or a problem in the apartment, or you need help, they can come and help you out. Those are kind of like somewhere in the middle, right? So it's like independent living with assistance, I guess. I'm not sure the terminology exactly, but that's how I've gathered how they are. Then the last one is fully assisted living, um, with 24/7 care. Obviously, the most expensive, in the DC, Maryland area could run anywhere between $8,000 and $12,000 a month. I mean, not that many people have that kind of money when they're retired to pay for that. So that becomes a very exclusive club. People are living in these places. So that's an option for very few, but the people who do it, they get full taken care of. And that's really when you've gotten to the point where you can't do anything for yourself. Everything is done for you. So that is another option of that. Speaking of the real estate, we're gonna have an estate planner on next week. Um, and she is going to come and discuss, what your options are for your parent who is going through this. Her name is Amy Griffin. And Amy had been on the show in season one. She's coming back for season two because we think this is a topic that people are going to be worrying about and dealing with in the next, probably the next, I would say, if you're in your 50s, 5 to 10 years, you'll be dealing with all this stuff. So just be prepared that this could be a problem. So Amy will be on next week, and she's great. And she'll lend a hand on the estate planning side of it and the real estate side of it as well, a little more so. Um, and then the other thing is, you got to properly plan for this. I didn't plan for it. My brothers didn't plan for it. None of us planned for it. It just happens. I mean, it happens and it happens quickly. And the one thing I did notice is that your parents' age, they may like be only a year older, but in that year's time, things really deteriorate more than you thought they would. It's like we age when I'm aging from like say 50 to 51. Yeah, there's an incremental change in behavior and appearance or even how I feel physically, mentally. Um, but from 86 to 87, there's a true difference. I mean, you see it in everything they do. Luckily for me, my mom's um, problems are more physical than mental, which I guess either way is not good. But um, the physical part, you just have to be there to help them get around and get from place A to place B. The the mental, well, if your parents are suffering from a little mental incapacity, that that's problematic as well. Obviously, physically is if they have both, and that's a problem. That's really hard. So that's kind of my week. That's kind of what I did. It was tough. I'm glad I did it. The one thing, me and my mom got to catch up, got to talk about my childhood growing up in Miami, got to talk about some things that had been on my mind for a long time, and I wanted to talk to her about them, um, which was good. Just as a parent now, I have my own three kids. You want to relate to your mom as a parent, and I mean, my mom did some unbelievable work for us when we were kids. She basically raised all six boys with the help of my grandparents and herself by herself, working jobs that don't pay a lot of money, but somehow she figured it out and got it done. So I'm really appreciative of that, and really, it's unbelievable what she did with what she had. And looking back on it, I talked to my kids about it, about my childhood and how I grew up and how lucky they are what they have. Um, and not sure if they really appreciate me when they get older and they have their own children. They'll appreciate what they had as kids. But that's pretty much it. I want to thank everyone for coming on the show. Sorry it's a short show. I really don't have much to add. I don't like to run a show late just to run it late. Um, we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Anthony will be back next week, and so will Amy Griffin, and we'll talk about this topic more, but talk about it more in the real estate sense in terms of talking about the estate plan that should be involved in this decision of what your parents are going to do as they get older. Um, the more kids involved, the better. Don't leave anyone out. Let everyone know what you're doing, and hopefully you don't you don't get caught in a jam as you're playing this out, because it can be pretty overwhelming when you're sitting down and figuring this out. I did offer, for the record, I did offer my mom to come live with us in Maryland. With my wife's mom, I told them I put a two-bedroom suite in the back of the house. They can both live there. Um, and she turned it down. So I did my thing. I offered. That's all I can do. Hopefully, she will not turn me down in the future if she really needs me. But I plan on going down there three, four, five times a year just to go and spend time with her, but also to help out my family, my brothers, taking care of her and doing my share of the caregiving. It's something that needs to be done, and I don't want to abandon my mom when she needs us the most. Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to seeing everyone next week. Bye bye.